Hey, it's America's Supermom. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. This series is the Corona Chronicles. I created this so that we would have an outlet of positivity in the midst of a lot of negativity. You know what I'm talking about. All the news, the fear around this virus, how it can affect us, what the new normal is looking like, and how so many things have changed that a lot of people feel like um, it is the end of the world, so to speak. So, this podcast was created so that those of us who have hope, who are willing to move forward with this new normal and innovate new things that will help us to be creative and positive. That is what this platform is for us to come together and share that positivity and that light with those who may need it. So if you're interested in sharing your insight, please reach out because we can never have enough positive news. So sit back and enjoy the show.
I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm so excited about my next guest, April Bonney. Is that how I pronounce it? Is that the right?
It's Bonney,
Bonney.
like a
Okay.
girl's name.
Okay. So I am so excited to have her here. We have just met here recently because uh, she is hosting a summit and she asked me to be one of the speakers on board with this. And so I am really excited for her to kind of dive into, her summit, her mission, and things like that. And then along the way, we have decided to co author a book.
Yes,
So I'm excited to kind of talk about this topic. But needless to say, so happy that we crossed paths. And I love the mission with the summit and being able to give back, especially during a time right now when we're dealing with this global pandemic and just being able to do something. It may be a small something, but it's just something that definitely makes an impact in the lives of others. So at this time, I will give April the mic, so to speak, and allow her the opportunity to introduce herself.
well, thank you, Lachelle, so much. I'm so happy to be on with you, and I appreciate you asking me to join. So, my name is April Bonney, and I was a veteran. I am a veteran. I was in the Marine Corps, as I should say, for 11 years. I'm a veteran. My husband's still active duty. We have 4 children, and we're a blended family.
Hmm.
And I am a certified family health coach. And through that, I love to help the whole family recognize better lifestyle habits and changes that they can make with their nutrition, with exercise, and really putting it together with family. Not
Hmm.
really like a I do this, you do this kind of thing, but really everybody joins in and it's a team effort. So my summit is launched, and yes, Miss Lachelle is on there, and I'm so excited for it. It's called Health, Love, and Family. Discover how to rebuild family connections around the table. So with this summit, our goal is to bring awareness to family
Hmm.
meals and just the importance that they have of sitting around the table, talking, making it fun, not something that's like boring and rigid, but a good time that families can just connect with each other. And even if families were doing it in the past, they can still learn from it. They can still bring in, like, how can we make it fun? And what can we do at the table that our kids will say, like, what are we having for dinner? Not because of the food, but
Hmm.
because of what they gain through their relationships at the table. And if families weren't doing it at all, that's great too. They can grab tips and a bunch of insights and personal experiences from all the speakers to help them get started and making it happen.
I love that. And, there are like tons of summits that I have seen, just in the industry that I am when it comes to coaching or speaking and different things like that. And, this is such a unique platform because, of course, we have a lot of parents who are working and dealing with homeschooling their kids, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really seen a lot of summits on dealing with the family and ways to connect. So I commend you for that. What are some tips that, or maybe just one tip that you could suggest to the audience on something that they could do to start to implement somewhat of this practice with the family meals?
I would say that if you're just starting off, to
Mm-hmm.
be very, well, both ways. If you're just starting off and if you've been doing it for a long time, I would say the biggest thing is being flexible, not being so rigid. I understand that now it's a little bit easier to be flexible with our mealtime schedule. But when things get going again, just be flexible. If your kids have sports or, they have lessons or whatever, just go around them, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
dinner's not set for a specific time. It's
Mm-hmm.
for whatever time that you can make it and whatever time that most of the people in your family can be at that table. And I mean, yes, you're not going to have every single person there every single meal, but be flexible with that dinner time or that even breakfast time, right? So some
Mm-hmm.
people they work later in the day, so they don't have to leave right away. So the kids get back into school and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't have to leave until 9, 8 o'clock. Let me have breakfast with my kids. So just being flexible with whatever it looks like. And then you could have family meals once a night or once a week. If you can do that twice a week, whatever you can do is great.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, people shouldn't harp on themselves like, well, I can only do breakfast, one day a week. Well, that's great because your kids are
Mm-hmm.
going to look forward to that one day a week where mom and dad get to sit with us and we get to have family time at the table.
I love that. Now, so switching gears just here briefly, I want to thank you for your service and
Oh, thank you
of
for
being
your
a veteran.
support. Thank you.
And, so you are retired and
I'm um I'm not retired. I got out at
okay,
11 years. Our family was very young, and when I say that, my oldest is 10 and we have 4 kids. So it just
okay,
got to a point where we were both active duty military and it was a lot to have 4 young children and me and him working full time. And so, especially in the military, when you don't know what's going to happen from day to
right.
day. So we were very fortunate to where we didn't have to deploy at the same time. I've seen that with couples where they both had to go and then they got to figure out what to do with their kids. And so we just came to the conclusion together that I would get out, he would stay in. He was closer to retirement years than I was. So yes.
Okay. So the question that I'm asking, and this is something that a lot of people might be able to identify with now currently with this transition in the economy or, the landscape of different industries, how to pivot during that time. So, to go from something that you were used to doing on a full-time basis and transitioning to somewhat of a new normal. So, for many of us who are dealing with that right now, it's not the military, but it's just this way that we have been used to doing something and now transitioning to something different. What tips would you give people in making that transition?
Well, any transition is going to be a challenge because, especially, if you've been doing something for an extensive amount of time. Um, my tips for transition: give yourself grace and
Mm-hmm.
understand that it's going to take time. Also, if you're transitioning from one thing to another and you are married or you're married with children, if there's other people involved in your family life at home, understand that for them, it's a transition as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I know that for my husband, so like right now he's in Japan and he's
Mm-hmm.
been gone a few times. Every time that he has left and come back is a transition. But what we've noticed that's really helpful is that we check in with each other like right away. So I will like meet him somewhere like the night before he's actually coming home, and we'll have like that night together to have dinner and reconnect before we get reintroduced with the kids together as a unit. Um,
Mm.
and so that way, when he comes home, it's not like I'm seeing him for the first time. We're already connected. We're already like, okay, this is what's going on, family kind of thing. then he gets reintegrated with the kids. So I know everybody can't do that, and that's not always the case with someone's transition period, but just give yourself grace and make sure that you're connecting with your partner if you're married, and letting them know, like, hey, this is a hard time for me right now, or I just need like some space right now because I'm processing this change. And I
Mm,
just feel like when you can work together, the transition isn't as difficult.
that's good. That's good. Great tips. Now, so for somebody who is working to reintegrate back together, in terms of communication. So by this, I mean, we all are the lives are turned upside down. You
Right.
are might have been working away from home. Now you're at home. Your
Mm-hmm.
kids are there. Your spouse is there. Everything is at home, and it's like you have to reintegrate to each other.
Yeah.
This new normal. So in that case, in terms of communication, what are some tips that you could give them to kind of make that transition smoother as well?
I think that with the changes of everyone being under one roof for 24/7,
Mhm,
it can get very stuffy. You can feel very much like, oh my gosh, I need my space. And I
mhm,
think that's exactly what you need to give each other is space.
mhm,
Even though
mm,
we're kind of limited at this moment, you can still say, hey, you take the morning or you take the evening, you can give each other shifts. Also
mhm,
within that, you can give each other time, 30 minutes, an hour, where one parent is down, helping the kids and focus on the kids, and then the other parent is taking a break, relaxing for 30
mhm,
minutes, an hour, whatever it is. Just giving each other that time to breathe is
mm.
so important. And I know that everybody's work schedules are very different, but accommodating each other will make your family life flow a lot better. I mean, you could have one parent that's taking the kids for a walk while the other
Mhm,
one just is completely silent in the house and focusing on what they need to do. I mean, they could take lunch outside if it's a nice day
mhm.
outside and let the other one be inside, so just finding different ways to give the other person space. I mean, even when the kids go down, if you're still like, oh my goodness, you're still here. Like, I need a break from you too. And that's
Right.
okay and it's normal. Maybe one person goes in the living room just to get some space and the other one goes in the bedroom. You watch your show for 30 minutes,
Mhm,
45, and then you come back together. And so there's lots of
mhm.
different ways when you're inside to still make it work.
I love that. And then, what tips would you give somebody, right now in terms of being somewhat of a single parent right now? I mean, you said your husband's in Japan, and I experienced this briefly. He wasn't in Japan, but he was working out of state,
Mm-hmm.
for like 4 months. So,
Yeah.
you're in this pandemic and, you have all this responsibility. What tips would you provide for people to make sure that they are keeping everything in harmony and balance,
Yeah,
so to speak.
absolutely. I would say that for single parents or for people that are parents that are alone at this moment in this
Mhm,
craziness, make sure that you set time for yourself. It is so important. And I don't mean like, okay, the kids are down and cleaning. Like that's no. Like
mhm,
something that and if you like cleaning and you enjoy it, by all means, but something that you really like to do, whether it's reading a book or watching a
mhm,
show or whatever it is, just giving yourself that time. And I know that it seems like you don't have time, but I know for me, sometimes in the morning, I have a little bit of time before they wake up and I can get things
mhm,
done, or I can just relax and, listen. I listen to my Bible sermons in the morning and it really sets my day and my tone for the day. Or, if they're still sleeping and my daughter has, her phone or whatever, I go for a run and I just run around the house outside,
mhm,
so
mhm,
you can take those stolen moments and really make them yours. And if it's during the day, hey, depending on the age of your child, it's you don't be so like upset with yourself if you plop on a movie for an hour because mommy or daddy needs a break. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you guys watch this. Mommy's going to be right in here. Okay. And I just let me have this time. And I understand littler kids are probably going to bug you. Then in that instance, then you look for those mornings or you look for those evening times. But those are like 3 different time frames that you could do to give yourself that self-care. Morning, if your kids are a little bit older, you could do it in the middle of the day or during the day, and then the evening when your kids are asleep.
I love that. Very good. I mean, self-care is just so key. I tell you,
Yeah.
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
so going to the summit, so it's like you have, your business, your husband is gone, you're homeschooling the kids, and I'm like, how in the world are you in a space to do a summit? So talk to us about, the importance of mindset and what things you thought about in order to, take on such a project.
Well, I actually started the process of the project back in February when we lived in California. So in the midst of all of this, we lived in California for 5 years, and we just moved here to North Carolina in February. So before we came out here, I had started, the process of getting this summit together and what it would look like and the topic that I wanted to do. And so when we moved here, and then I got the kids settled in school, and I was like, yes. And I was so focused on, everything, and they were in school, and then they came back. And so at that moment, I really had a choice. Am I going to push through and press on to what I committed myself that I was going to do with this? Or am I going to say, you know what? I have a great excuse to not do this. And I did. My kids were all home. I wasn't expecting them to be there. My husband's overseas right now. But my mindset was, I want to do this. And I'm learning through so many amazing people that finish what you start. And that's really something that was just going through my brain through the whole, because people are like, you're crazy. Like, you just moved across the country. Your husband, I'm like, yes. However, I'm finishing what I started because I started this for a reason, and I'm going to finish it. And so I just, on the days, and it gets hard. It gets really difficult at times. Sometimes, the kids are fighting or homework's difficult. Like, it gets hard, but I'm learning and growing and recognizing that we can do things when we really put our mindset to it. You find those stolen moments throughout the day. Yes, my kids, they're homeschooled, right? And they're my oldest in 4th grade. So they're all elementary school. But if you really set your mind to it and you schedule as best as you can and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find these stolen moments throughout the day, and I'm going to get my work done and be that example for your kids to see. This is what mommy or daddy does when you're at school, because they don't know what you do. And really set that tone for them. Like, this is what it looks like. Right. And hey, and set your boundaries. I was taught early to set your boundaries with your kids, and it's okay to do it. At this time, from this time, you see the clock right there? Okay, when this time hits this, mommy's all yours. But from this time to this time, mommy's at work, okay? If there's an emergency or you need, something outside of this, I'm here. But mommy's at work, understand? And as you are consistent with that, your kids will acknowledge it. My kids now come up to me at my work times and they're like, oh, sorry, you're at work, I forgot. And they check themselves.
I love that. Now, and then this is good because tell us like how many speakers and, um, just the thought process behind it, because a lot of people are like, okay, stolen moments, what does a stolen moment equate to? Because people sometimes don't understand how to break a vision down. It's like all or nothing. And I think this is what stops a lot of people from moving forward and leveling up, is that they look at the big picture and think they're going to be there tomorrow,
Mm,
and they
mm-hmm.
don't understand how to make it small enough to where if I do this day or whatever, I can accomplish that mission.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a
Mhm.
total of 23 speakers, and
Mhm.
stolen moments are, so I have my kids on schedule. So like in the morning, my older ones are
Mhm.
very self-sufficient. They can get up and they can make breakfast, which is great, so they do the
Mhm.
breakfast while I'm having, my quiet time. And then I get up and I'm with them in the morning until about, well, not right now, but usually until about 2:30, 3 o'clock, until they finish their assignments. And then after that, they understand that, they're usually playing outside or they're playing board games together. That's their connection time with each other because they've been separated doing, their school stuff. So at that time,
Mhm.
that's when I clock into work. And they know that
Mhm.
mommy's on her work time. We just finished school time. So it's really just getting your own schedule, your own tempo to know what it's going to be,
Mhm.
and being consistent. Because if one day you're
Mhm.
like, hey, mommy, daddy's on, work time this day, and then you stop, or if, you're like not consistent with it, or you continuously let them interrupt you, just like a teacher. They
Mhm.
don't interrupt their teacher, right? They raise their hand if they have a question, but
Mhm.
they get dismissed a lot because the teacher has a mission, and that teacher has
Mhm.
goals that they have set in place for their class for the day. So they have to get through their mission, just like you at home, you have to get through your work mission. And don't feel
Mhm.
like, I feel like sometimes parents have that parent guilt, like, oh my gosh, but my kid's right here. Yes, they're right there 24/7 though. So
Right.
they're not going anywhere anymore. So you have to put those boundaries up and be okay with it. It's
Mhm.
okay to tell
Mhm.
your kids, for the next 2 hours, mommy's working. I love you very much. I'm leaving. I usually
Mhm.
just like leave them some snacks. Here's some snacks to set you up. Fill up your water bottles, right? Here's some snacks.
Right.
They should last you. And mommy's going to check into work. So it has
Mhm.
worked for me, honestly. And they have learned, because I'm consistent, they don't even knock on my door anymore. I mean, 23 speakers, right? So I had to do 23 interviews.
Mhm.
And so every
Mhm.
time I would go in to do an interview, I would say, okay, guys, mommy's in an interview. And they'd be like, okay, mom. And I think I had one incident where my youngest one, who's 5, was crying at
Mhm.
the door because his feelings got hurt. But that was it. Out of 23 interviews, I was able to
Wow.
successfully do the interviews without interruptions from my 4 kids.
I love that. And I like the element of also, even though the kids are not necessarily included, so to speak, in your job, they understand the boundaries, which makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes when kids don't understand what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, then that's when the interruptions come. That's when all the questions, and there's no regard for, when you're not available because they don't
Right.
understand. But when you have that conversation, that opens up an even greater connection because, they realize, hey, this is mommy time. So I really appreciate that. Now, so we're moving forward. We're going through the summit, and then it's an opportunity to be co-authoring a book. So, give us your take on how this took place, and what your motivation is
For the
with
what?
that
I'm sorry.
for co-authoring a
Oh,
book.
so I'm a writer by heart. I remember when I was younger, I
Mhm.
said, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to be a writer. And then some really mean adult, I don't even know who it was, but it was a mean adult
Mhm.
because they said, writers don't make any money. You don't want to do that. And it crushed me as a child. And
Mhm.
I stopped writing. But I do journal and things like that. So I know that I still love to write. And I've always wanted to write a book, but something that's just meaningful, helpful to many people,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
I know you and I were talking about, this place we're in right now, and it's literally history
Mhm.
in the making. Like, we are in
Mhm.
history. This will be in our future generations history books of this happening. And I just think
Mhm.
that one, you could go a couple ways with it. You could go of, oh my goodness, my kids were home, my husband was home, it was crazy, and all the
Mhm.
negative things that are coming out of this. Or you could look at the positive, because if you really think about it, everyone that's listening, you have at least one thing that has been positive through this experience, whether it's, more in tune with nature because you go on walks more, or you
Mhm.
go to those places because there's less people, or even the family relationships strengthening through all of this. Maybe
Mhm.
you're having more
Mhm.
sex with your spouse. Like,
Mhm.
there is definitely at least one positive thing that you can take from this. And so I think that that would be the angle that I would go with, is the
Mhm.
positive changes that this pandemic has caused
Mhm.
for you and your family. Because I know for me, there's so many. I realized how smart my children are. They are so smart. And I mean,
Mhm.
I knew they were smart, but when you're sitting down with your child going through every single subject, and you're
Oh yeah.
recognizing, wow, they really understand this concept. And it probably, a lot of times it's beyond their grade level. So
Mhm.
for us, it's like, yeah, they're learning. And hey, maybe I'm not doing too bad of a job because they're getting good grades on their stuff. Maybe I'm not doing too bad. I'm not failing as a teacher mom, right? And then, yes, the
Right.
connections with them, and, spouses connecting with each other. And I do understand on the flip side of that, there is the negative and there is the sadness of people being together
Mhm.
in a house as well. But I wanted to focus on the positives in that and really just pulling that through, because there are so many good things that have come from this virus.
So true. And I mean, I think that even, having that type of mindset, because, we are going to get past this, and to be somewhat of a leader in that mindset of kind of directing other people who are watching you. I just think, that's just something that comes with being a mom and being a
Yeah.
parent, is that, we have to kind of forge ahead in front of our kids, scared or not,
Mm-hmm.
and we recognize that they're watching us. And I think that whole concept is really important, in a basis of a lot of strength. It's like, hey, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but I'm not going to
Right.
give up. I'm going to embrace the positive, and I'm going to keep moving.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that, really resonated with me when we just talked about having a book, because there's that perspective that a lot of people may be missing
Oh,
out on
for
right
sure.
now.
And I think that once you gain
Mhm.
that as a parent or an individual, then it really just reformats your thinking of it. Your mind is so powerful. And the one thing that I'm
Mhm.
teaching my kids is that your mind only knows what you teach it. So if you teach
Mm.
your mind and yourself that this is horrible, this is never ending, all of these negative things about what's going on, then your mind is
Mhm.
automatically going to be tuned into the negative things. But if you tell yourself, you know what, this is difficult, but we're going to get through this. This
Mhm.
is difficult, but I'm having an amazing
Mhm.
relationship with my spouse or my kids. Just change your mindset. And once you do that
Mhm.
and you're more positive about what's going on and seeing the good in it, your kids will start to change it as well. It will become like a ripple effect in your house. I guarantee it. If you just change your mindset, you wake up in
Mhm.
the morning and you're like, okay, let's do this. We're going to have a good day. And, we're going to do
Mhm.
something fun. I don't know. But changing your mindset really sets the tone for your household.
So true. And I mean, I really think that is so key about your mind only knows
Yeah.
what you teach it. I mean, this is so true because, you have to really create the environment that you want for yourself. It just
Yeah.
doesn't happen. And I know when we first had this situation with the pandemic, our kids were told that they wouldn't be returning back to school, but our state was still open with business. And, we just took the approach, okay, school's closed, we're on lockdown as a
Mm-hmm.
family. And we sat down, talked to our kids, and we told them, okay, this is what this is going to look like. And, we did worst case scenario, which was us locking down ourselves in quarantine before the state even issued it. And I find that, we're not saying that you're not going to have
Right.
adversity. We're not saying that things are not going to be difficult. But even when you embrace the hard things, I find that with my children, they're like, oh, that wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
that bad because their perception is so much worse when I say, okay, this is going to be
Right.
hard, guys. We're not going to be able to go anywhere and we're not going to be able to do this. And then when it happens, they're like, well, it wasn't as bad as what I
Mm-hmm.
thought. So I think there's that element also of, recognizing that, just like you said, this is difficult. This is challenging, but what does challenging look like? Because once you overcome certain adversities, you know, you're not, the challenge is not
Right.
glamorized, so it really doesn't have a lot of sting to it once you've overcome a number of
Absolutely.
things. So I think that's a great thing to point out. So this is great. Now, so tell us the best way for the listeners to get a hold
Yeah,
of you.
absolutely. Through email, my email is healthloveandfamily@gmail. If you want to check out the
Okay.
summit and see the interviews, it's around the table connections with an s.com. So around the table
Okay.
connections.com. You can check out the interviews. Today we're on day 5 and we have, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
23 speakers. And so each speaker has their own day that their interview will come out. And then
Mm-hmm.
the audience has 48 hours to watch the interview. And there is an option to purchase the entire series if they would like to. And half of
Mm-hmm.
the proceeds that we collect from that are actually going to go to Compassion International. It's an international
Mm-hmm.
organization, and they help families on, I think they have 32 countries that they assist. But what's going on right now with COVID is that a lot of their volunteers are getting sick or passing from COVID because they are in those countries where they don't have, the
Mm-hmm.
health that we do here to be able to help those people and those families out. So yes, we wanted to do something since this is a global pandemic. We wanted to do something that was,
Mm-hmm.
reaching people across our entire world. So yes, Compassion International.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to thank you for all these wonderful words of wisdom, and really excited about, our next project.
Yes,
So,
me too.
looking forward to it.
Me
More homework for myself, okay? But look, I see I'm in good hands. I have a real taskmaster that's going to be like, "Hey, girl, we got to get this
Yes.
done." Okay?
Yes.
We have
That is,
no
yes.
excuse. So I'm
That is
like,
so
"Hey,
important too, guys. Just have an accountability partner
yeah."
with your life. If it's a work thing, have a work accountability. If it's working
Mhm.
out because you don't want to get the quarantine 15, get a
Yeah.
accountability partner that's going to kick your butt and say, get out of bed, go do this workout, or get out of bed, turn
Mhm.
this thing in, whatever the case. Have, your support system. It's so
Mhm.
important at a time like this. We can't do this stuff alone.
So true. Yeah, so true. And like you said, it's just those moments of time. It doesn't
Mm-mm.
even take a lot. You can do a lot in
Yes.
15
Just
minutes.
15
Yeah.
focused minutes.
So,
Yes.
so true.
Well,
Yeah.
thank
All
you.
right. Well, I am
Thank
really
you.
excited. Yeah. Well, you have a wonderful weekend, and we will
Oh,
definitely
you
be in touch
too.
soon.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I really enjoy providing content that inspires and challenges us to be a better version of ourselves. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, please email me at info@lachelleatkins.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. If there was something in this episode that resonated with you, it probably will resonate with someone else. So please share it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But those aha moments, those moments of really getting something and changing your perspective are very, very pivotal in having people change the trajectory of their lives. And so being able to share insightful information so that other people can grow is the easiest thing that we can do as we pay it forward. So again, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you have time, write out a review. Go to iTunes, Anchor, wherever you can find this podcast on any of those platforms, and write a review about what impact this episode had on you, what you learned, or whatever. Any feedback is great because it just helps me to understand what content is really beneficial for those that are listening. So again, I want to thank you all for your support and taking the time to spend some time with me and my guests. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.